Hello everyone. On behalf of NEXT IAS, I welcome you all for this new initiative, that is Daily News Decoded. So as the name suggests, we are going to decode the newspaper so that you can integrate your preparation, as newspaper is considered one of the major challenge, that how we are going to integrate the newspaper with our preparation, because most of the aspirants when they start preparing face one major difficulty with the newspaper, that how they are going to segregate the topic in terms of which themes are going to be relevant for mains, which themes are going to be relevant for prelims, or some themes are going to be equally important for prelims or mains, as well as when they are going to read those articles, they are not able to integrate or attach those articles with respect to the respective papers, with respect to the respective themes, with respect to the respective subjects or sub dimensions for it. For example, there can be an article on agriculture which might be talking about the backward linkages, and there might be an article on agriculture which could have been talking about the forward linkages. So sometimes people are confused or aspirants are confused what kind of question we can expect in geography or what kind of question we can expect in economy, as agriculture can be a common topic for both of the subject. So this initiative is going to help you to simplify the newspaper, as well as going to give you an enhanced glimpse of all the major themes, of all the major current scenarios which are going around the globe. Right. So let's start the today's session. So the first article which we are going to discuss today is Enhancing Governance the Digital Way. Now if we see the article, it comprises of two major keywords. Firstly, governance, second, digital, and third, we are going to enhance what? Governance by the digital way. So first thing which you should definitely know, that it is going to reflect the theme of governance, that is in paper 2, and in the governance we are going to discuss about the e-governance, because it is going to reflect the governance of the digital way. So e-governance जो हमारे पेपर 2 of GS के governance में mentioned है, उससे related ये particular article है. Second, whenever we are going through a particular article, we can always see that here this is going to be the summary of this particular article. For example, this e-governance is going to be a broad theme. It could be covering some particular scheme or particular initiative, but today's article, on which dimension it is, it can be easily figured out by reading the summary, where it says, as public expectations evolve, so too must the skill set of those in governance roles. So definitely it must be talking about related to the capacity building of the executives, of all the people involved into the governance, so that their role is going to be enhanced, their skill set can be enhanced, and easily the mission for the e-governance or digital India can be fulfilled. So it is going to be on the capacity building of the executives, of all the people who are going to be involved into the governance. So that is going to be the major theme. So first learning which we are going to learn, that it is going to be an article on the governance. Secondly, it is going to be a part of our governance paper 2 GS, and then it is going to talk about a theme of e-governance and a dimension of e-governance where capacity building of executive is going to be spoken about. So that is the first scenario which you should know, right? So let's move towards into this particular article. As I said, as e-governance is a theme of our GS paper 2, we can also see some of the previous year questions, and I will also come back to these questions after I will discuss this particular article. So this will give you a particular glimpse that what kind of questions or what kind of questions based on this particular e-governance theme can be asked. Firstly, it is going to be a question which was asked into mains 2023, where e-governance has been asked as a critical tool of governance with effectiveness, transparency and accountability in government. What inadequacies hamper the enforcement of these features? So it is going to be talking about the hindrances, barriers regarding the e-governance, right? Second dimension is going to be the emergence of the fourth industrial revolution has initiated e-governance as an integral part of the government. Discuss. Third dimension is digital literacy, particularly in rural areas, coupled with the lack of information communication technologies, accessibility has hindered the socio-economic development. So the theme is e-governance, but you see here the theme is very much with respect to the challenges or the hindrances with respect to the effectiveness of e-governance. Secondly, it is going to talk about the urban-rural divide and the lack of the ICT and how this is going to impact the socio-economic development. So the topic or the theme can be same, and it can have multiple dimensions. Today's dimension is going to be talking about the capacity building. So similarly, there can be a macro theme or a macro topic under which there can be multiple sub themes. Okay. So now first we should definitely know what is the difference between government and governance. So when we talk about the governance, governance is often said that it is going to be the action part of the government. As we know that government is going to derive its authority from the constitution, and constitution is going to derive the authority from the people. So people of India is going to empower the constitution so that government as an agency work to fulfill their aspiration. So how that working of government is going to be done, how it is functioning and how that functioning can be improved, it is going to be the study of governance, right? So now we are going to talk about e-governance. So right now we are into the digital era. So the change into the liberalization, privatization, globalization brought some changes into the social values. So from liberalization or from globalization to the digital era, there are so many social values which change our society. Similarly, there are going to be so many technological changes which also changed our way of functioning, right? It has made so many things easier. So similarly, as the story is going to be from globalization to digitization, similarly there is the story from governance to e-governance. Now there are so many digital tools and digital applications are used by different ministries, departments and so many other lower functioning government offices to make the life easy for citizens, right? So that entire initiative is going to be known as e-governance, and today we are going to talk about how we should empower our these executives so that the functioning of the government as well as the governance both increases, right? So if we basically talk about the basic story and advantages, we can say that the role of ICT is going to bring the accountability and transparency. The role of ICT is going to bring that we can also save some time. The role of ICT with respect to the government is going to be, we could also know that data driven decisions can be taken. For example, during the festive season, if we see, for example, especially into the Diwali or Chhat, we are going to see that the train moving towards the Bihar are going to be very, very packed or crowded. So if you do not have the data of the last year, that how was the crowd movement or in which pocket the crowd movement was very much and in which pocket the crowd movement was not that much. So you cannot segregate how many trains or how many special trains which you are going to need for that particular area or to cater the needs of those particular area. So this is going to be a very important thing, that data driven decisions can easily be taken if we are going to use the e-governance, right? So that is going to be the story from governance to digital governance. And if we talk about the advantages, it is definitely going to ensure the accountability and transparency. Secondly, it is going to give the public delivery services with the effective and efficient way. For example, PDS is often talking about that before the use of the ICT into public distribution system, it was very ineffective. The subsidies were not getting credited properly. The distribution system was not very much effective. And so the people who actually require the advantages of this scheme were not getting benefited. But after the ICT usage, this public delivery system has become one of the efficient one, and so many leakages are going to be stopped because the use of e-governance and the use of ICT, right? So these are the major advantages where the decision making, corruption, transparency and accountability and usage of the ICT into the governance has increased the effectiveness of the entire governance structure. Now let's see what are the major initiatives are under e-governance और digital governance. हो सकता है इसमें बहुत सारी चीजें या बहुत सारे नाम और initiatives आपको पता हो. The first is going to be the Aadhaar, which we all know. Second is going to be the UPI, and you can easily link that how UPI, which actually got evolved into the crisis period of COVID, is making the life so easy for us. Most of us even do not use the cash or do not carry the cash much, because after this UPI revolution, our life has become too easy, right? Similarly, if you see that before the use of ICT, and if you talk to your very elder brothers or even to your parents, if you are going to any of the government office for any basic thing, let's suppose caste certificate or any kind of certification, it is going to take a long time. But now it has become so easy because you can easily apply on the website, all the verifications can be done and it can easily be done. In fact, in 2000 to 2002, people carrying passport or having a passport were seen with the eyes of so much of privilege. But now that Passport Seva Kendra has become a very symbolic in that e-governance system, that the passport making process has become so smooth, right? So similarly, like DigiLocker, most of us use these initiatives or use these products. So I have taken the examples of Aadhaar, UPI and DigiLocker, right? So next, the major theme of the article now I am going to discuss with respect to the challenges. So the article is going to talk about the capacity building, and as I said, the capacity buildings of the executive is going to be very much important because they are going to be on the ground and you and the citizens are interacting with them, right? So our first interaction is going to be with the real executive only, right? So when we talk about this capacity building, the major challenge of capacity building can be termed into two categories. Firstly, as we see that if you speak to your parents, so during this change of phase from manual to computer, one of the major notion is going to be that for a particular employee, it is going to be very hectic because he or she has to learn the new skill set so that he or she can easily work on the computer. So first challenge is going to be the adaptation, right? So similarly, as with respect to the computer or manual to computer phase, so usage of the new ICT technologies is going to be how the learning mechanism is going to be, upgradation of the skill, and that is going to become along with the behavioral change, right? So this behavioral change of adaptation of new skills is going to be one of the major challenge. As we have also seen, when we talk about Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, apart from the organizational issues or challenges, funding issues or challenges, behavioral change is one of the major change which is going to make or has impacted the success of this particular scheme. So similarly, when we talk about the capacity building of employees, they have to be trained with the adaptation of the new technologies. So that is one of the major challenge which are going to be there. So the major barriers this particular article talks about, we can easily divide into 5 or 6. As I have already mentioned, the first is going to be the change with respect to the learning of the new technologies, and it requires a self motivation so that that particular person is keen to learn and make that particular system efficient, as well as himself, he is going to or she is going to upgrade himself, right? Second I talk about is going to be the digital divide. Now you see, with respect to the rural and urban, there is always a debate regarding digital divide, and this divide is not only restricted to the ICT technology or infrastructure, it is also with respect to the digital literacy, right? So we also have to keep this in mind whenever we are building this capacity building program. We cannot follow that one size fits all approach, because the background or the socio-economic background or the other backgrounds of rural and urban or the values of rural and urban are very much different. So digital literacy and usage of these technologies can be very much different for rural and urban people. For example, for you, usage of all the applications or any new application is going to be very easy. So imagine your father or anyone elder in your home or your mother might be very much ease now because he or she has learned how to use the WhatsApp, but when it comes to the artificial intelligence basic tools or chat GPT, he or she might not be very much comfortable in using those tools. So now as we are moving into the digital revolution 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 and into the artificial intelligence, so we also have to keep this in mind that digital literacy and the usage of applications or the usage of ICT technologies is not going to be restricted towards a very basic dimension. It is going to be upgraded. So that is why this rural urban divide or rural urban divide is going to be another challenge. Third is going to be the lack of incentives, and that is going to be clubbed with the training. So that motivation has to be coming from that particular person only, that he or she is going to think that he or she definitely should improve himself, right? So there should be some motivational training also and technical training also, so that the morale of those people can be boosted up. One thing which can be definitely added to this, that sometimes people who are not very good with the technical things or the basic usage of application feel very much inferior. So that kind of inferiority complex should be handled well by the particular training agencies, right? Next is going to be the cyber security. This is a very important part because we know that government uses majorly of sensitive data. So starting from Aadhaar, to caste to EWS or any of the data is going to be very much personal and very much sensitive. So it is always going to be a threat regarding the usage of this particular data. So the challenges related to the handling of data as well as this cyber security should be taken properly, right? So these are the major barriers which are involved into the capacity building. But we have seen that recently. First is Mission Karmyogi. As we all know, this has been initiated by the government to improve the functioning or to improve their skill set and to upgrade their skill set, especially of the civil servants, so that they can adapt to the new particular technological changes, right? So that is going to be one. Second is going to be the I Got Karmyogi platform. So that is the training platform under which that the civil servants and the other government officials are going to get trained, right? So this is going to be the part of Mission Karmyogi. Next is very important, e-office, and it has shown a remarkable increase in terms of handling of the files by e or digital way. So इसको introduce करने के बाद में there is going to be a lot of reduction into paper as well as the traditional method of usage of files. So now we can see that if we are using the e-way or the digital way of handling the file, we can also ensure accountability and transparency, because the checks and balances of this particular file can easily be tracked. For example, हिंदी में पहले एक कहावत कही जाती थी कि वो फाइल कहीं किसी और फाइल के नीचे दब गई या वो फाइल कहीं किसी फाइल के नीचे धूल खा रही है. बट नाउ वी कैन ऑलवेज सी कि which file is going to be where, so that we can also track down that particular file. So this is a very welcoming step, and this e-office program has been developed by the NIC, right? So this particular mission mode project has shown a very important and significant role in improving or digitization of our governance, right? So that's all regarding the today's article. This is one dimension of a particular article, and as I was telling you that whenever you see the PYQs, the PYQ can be revolve around the same theme of the e-governance or the digital governance, but the dimension of asking a question can be different. As here they link the ICT and urban rural divide with respect to socio-economic development, and here it was used with respect to the barriers related to the e-governance and their effectiveness, right? So that's how we can prepare a topic in a very holistic way, right? So there is another practice question which is given, that what are going to be the 9 pillars of Digital India initiative. Another question from my side, what is the difference between good governance and governance? What is the difference between good governance and governance, right? So which of the following is not one of the 9 pillars of the Digital India initiatives? Do mention into the comment box. So let's move to our next topic, that is going to talk about STEM. And this is a very important theme, because this theme is going to be covered into paper 1 of society also when we go cover the women and women organization. Second is a very important theme with respect to the social justice, right? So, and it can also be linked that how the role of women is very much important in terms of our economic growth of the country. So women is a very diverse theme. Similarly, some of the themes for education, agriculture, women, industry, they have multiple implications, right? So now this article is very important because it shows that how, if an initiative is given by a particular institution, can play a very important role in changing the lives of women. So this is going to be based on the initiatives and studies of IIT Kanpur, that how this initiative of IIT Kanpur has done a remarkable job in increasing the percentage of women students or female students in the campus, right? So as we go in the backdrop, this shows that 20% supernumeracy quota for women in IITs aims to increase the participation. So it has been taken by the initiatives by the IITs to increase the participation of women in STEM. And when I say STEM, STEM is actually an acronym for science, technology, engineering and mathematics, right? So it was in the year 2001, this acronym was coined into US, and this acronym stands for science, technology, engineering and mathematics. Recently this theme has come twice or thrice into the newspaper, and today that IIT study has been published, that how role of IIT Kanpur has played a very important role. So now if we see some of the basic background of this, it shows that majorly into this field the domination of the male is going to be more as compared to the female, right. So when I say, because this particular science, technology, engineering, mathematics field have so many other barriers in terms of our psychological and social barriers, that it has created a huge divide between the woman and male in terms of their participation and contribution, right. So that is why, and IITs encouraged, or IITs wanted to encourage the women participation, as they are the major pillars or one of the very foundational pillars in the field of science, technology, engineering and mathematics. So they took an initiative by introducing quota with respect to the women, right, and that quota has played a very important role. So if we see some of the factual details, as per the UNESCO, 35% of the student in higher education are women, and when we talk about in India, 40% are graduated into STEM, but there is another trend which shows that some of these graduate students did their graduation in breaks. That means they took long breaks in completing their graduation, or secondly, they were not able to complete their graduation, especially into the science technology field, with that efficiency. That means that there are going to be some dropouts also, or they didn't attended that practical aspects of these particular field into that proper way. So this particular number is only about the number in terms of 40%, and even if we go by the number, it is going to be the ratio with respect to 40 to 60%, and keeping in scenario the population of India, this particular ratio is going to be too much, right. And when we see with respect to the faculties in STEM, there is going to be a very huge divide, that is 16% versus 84%. So there is going to be a huge gap with respect to the faculties. So here there is a graph which has been published by a particular report, and here if we see the fields or the domains which are humanities have a much higher participation as compared to the domains involving the technology or engineering. So if we go by Master of Arts or Bachelor of Arts, here we see that the percentage of male is going to be 45 and 40% respectively, where the female percentage is 55% and 60%. But when we compare this particular thing with the BTech, we see that the percentage of female is going to be just 29% and the percentage of male is going to be 71%. Similarly, when we go into the science field, here also we see 55% is going to be dominated by the males as compared to the 45% domination by the females. In the MBA field also, similarly we see Bachelor of Engineering is also going to be dominated by male. So here we have seen that that with respect to the male, females are not that much participative, as well as they are not contributing to the extent they should be, right. So with this report, we can easily see that participation of women is going to be very less in comparison to the male in the field of science, technology, engineering and mathematics. There is another graph which shows that when it comes to the field of BA or MA, the participation is very good. But when it comes to the field of BTech and MTech, we can see that there is going to be a huge decline with respect to their participation, right. So these two graphs and these two representation easily shows that the participation of male and female have a huge gap in the field of STEM, right. So now let's see what are going to be the major challenges, what are going to be the major barriers, what are going to be the major causes behind this. So we can easily segregate our causes in two aspects. Firstly is the social aspect and second is the economic aspect. When we talk about the social aspect, we see that the field of STEM has been majorly considered only for male. That is like a preconceived notion of ancient times, or better to put. So that is like a preconceived notion that the field of STEM should be majorly for males, because STEM is majorly considered as a boys club, and which makes another problem that whenever any girl is going to be into technical field, for example, if you know the example of the Sudha Murthy, she was talking about her life when she started working into the technical field. she was telling about her experience that she was the only candidate or she was the only female who was working, right? So even into this digital globalized world, there is going to be a huge gap which has to be built, and if we are not giving equal opportunities or equal space, and if we are not creating that conducive environment, this gap is not going to be easily bridged. So first is going to be the gender biasness. Second is going to be the social responsibilities, where girls have been given an additional responsibilities to balance their academics with respect to their house help or by participation into the household activities. So how they are going to keep up that balance? Another important sub point of this particular thing, that with respect to the household activities, if they are going to be too much involved, firstly their academic is going to be suffer, because science, technology, engineering, mathematics require practical and theory both the knowledge, so they have to invest more amount of time. And secondly, if they are not getting good marks, they are going to be demotivated, and that is going to lead to the dropouts. So another point which can be added, or that is going to be the implication of this balance, is going to be, it is going to increase the dropouts. Next is male as bread earner. When we talk about male as bread earner, it is like a preconceived notion that male is going to be the gender, or the son of the home is going to be the person who is going to be the major bread earner. So now this particular point is changing day by day with respect to more awareness and more progressive society, but still this is a particular norm. And when we talk about the rural urban divide of these social problems, the factors are going to be more, especially into the rural society. The household responsibilities are very much, that kind of freedom, that kind of progressive thought process, or that kind of space for women has not been created yet. And it is not only into the rural society, we also see this into a particular urban societies. So this societal changes have to come up with better thought process, with better progressive thoughts, so that this particular social gap can be filled. Now when we talk about the opportunities in terms of their workplace, one of the major thing which has been seen, that there is going to be the pay disparity, right? This is a very global phenomenon, not only restricted to India, that this is there is going to be the pay disparity between the male and female person. Human being having the same degree, same knowledge, same skill set, once they are going to be promoted, there can be a pay disparity between a male and female. Secondly, with respect to the female, for example, if person has to relocate, companies or corporate mindset do have a thought process that as compared to female, male will be much easier to be relocated, or he will be in much ease to be relocated. So with respect to transfers, with respect to the leaves, with respect to the other aspects of women, sometimes it has been seen. So over a period of time, so many corporate has taken a very good initiative by making their office gender balance, or by making their office gender neutral. Gender balance and gender neutral are the two major important developments into the corporate world, and especially after the liberalization, globalization, we have seen that there are going to be so many new avenues have been created for women, right? Especially into the service sector, especially into the IT sector. So this is slowly, so the areas for opportunities of women are getting progressive, but still there is so much gap. So now if I have to substantiate my point with respect to the social and opportunity, here we see that 29.2 of STEM workforce is going to be women according to the global gender gap report. So there is going to be a lot of gap, because only 30% of STEM force is going to be women. Next is going to be 45% face barriers to upward mobility. Gender pay gap is going to be that they are going to earn more, right? So when I was talking about the pay disparity, this is going to be there with respect to the relocation. But recently, if you see, not only private sector, government has played a very important role in increasing their participation. And one of the important institution, ISRO, has shown us the light that how that preconceived notion and that thought process that women cannot do wonders in the field of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, they played not only very important role in so many research work, but they played a very important role in one of the very important mission, be it the Chandrayaan mission or be the other major missions of ISRO. ISRO has shown us the light that what capacities, what capabilities women have in terms of the analytical approach, in terms of the technological field. So moving forward, that the particular article which is going to be talked about, this is the summary of this particular article. So as we see in IIT Kanpur, women students have increased from 908 back in 2017 to 2124 into 2024. So that is going to be a very huge jump in terms of number of intake. Similarly, IIT Roorkee 76.36% of increase into rise of women student. Similarly, significant progress have been shown in other IITs. So if institution takes some responsibilities, or the major institution takes some responsibilities, they can show us the light, or they can set that benchmark, and they can set an example which can be replicated on national level. Similarly, a very important point which is mentioned into this particular article was about open door policy, right? So open door policy was introduced so that the female students along with the parents can easily visit the campus, so that parents also have a sense of security that their children is going to be very much safe, and that facilities are good with respect to the hostel facilities, washroom facilities and other facilities. So this was very much important, which played a significant role in, so this played a very important role in changing the behavioral aspect, right? So that is about the major important theme which have been covered. So now if we talk about the government initiative, so government has also taken initiative so that the participation of women can be increased in the field of STEM. First is going to be Vigyan Jyoti, which is going to be up to the school level to encourage and motivate the female student to take part and to learn about the science, technology, engineering and mathematics. It is a very important scheme. Second is Gati program for more gender inclusivity at the workforce, right? So it provides the equal platform for men and women so that the gender inclusivity can be maintained. Next, it can be the AICT initiative, where Pragati scholarship has been given to the girls so that they can do their further technical work and they can do further into the field of science, technology, engineering and mathematics. So there are going to be another initiatives also. These are the important ones which are going to be for women. So let me ask you a question. What are your major 3 suggestions to improve the participation of women in the field of science, technology, engineering and mathematics, right? Moving further, that is going to be the practice question. You can easily comment. There has been given the name of the scheme which we have discussed, Vigyan Jyoti, Gati, and there are going to be different 2 schemes. You should definitely know about these major schemes and you have to do the match the following. If we see some of the previous year question, we can see that with respect to STEM only, there are 2 questions which have been asked. The first question, despite having achieved significant progress in science and technology, India lags behind in equal opportunities, especially in the field of STEM. Suggests the reason and the reform. Second, India has growing pool of women scientists, but the gender gap in STEM career still persists. So these kind of questions revolving around the basic theory of STEM, that what are going to be the major reason, how we can bring the reform, what changes are required, can easily be asked. So this is a very ongoing theme, and this is one of the theme which is always in news because it is a very important theme related to the women empowerment, and this type of questions can be asked in future also. So let's move to the new article. Recently, the role of WHO is also in news, not directly, but as we see the new virus which is upcoming into the China hmpv virus. So yesterday we had short discussion regarding hmpv virus. So today we are just going to have a look on the role of WHO. This can be discussed into detail much later if the role of WHO is going to come in news. So today there is an article regarding that hmpv occurrence that is not going to be new to India as per the health ministry, right? So health ministry has not initiated any new regulations with respect to the control of this virus. So the role of WHO was majorly spoken about when the COVID-19 happened. So with respect to the pandemic management, what can be the role? So this role of WHO can be majorly with respect to the international relations and specifically into the field of science. So this can be related to the GS2 paper also and GS3 paper also. So going into the article, this is going to talk about the health ministry, but we can also have a look on the role of WHO. So WHO was established into 1948 as an specialized organ of United Nations. So now I have a question for you, that how many main body or what are the main bodies of United Nations, right? So currently it has 194 members, where majorly members contribute voluntarily so that the WHO can function in an efficient way. The highest making body of WHO is going to be the World Health Assembly. This is the highest decision making body. So it was established in 1948. It is a specialized agency, and currently it has 194 members, and it is very much dependent with respect to the voluntary funding of WHO. So these members contribute together so that the WHO can function in an efficient way, and World Health Assembly is the highest decision making body of WHO. Moving to the next topic, we can go what are the major functions. So as WHO, the name health suggests that it is going to talk on the public health with respect taking in consideration the whole world as a single family, where control of endemic diseases, secondly setting up coordination with the different nations, because different nations might have different disease problem or different other health issues. So how they can impact globally, that is going to be coordinated between by the WHO in terms of different coordination among different countries. And secondly, also setting international health standard for a particular disease or with respect to any other health issue, right? Third, it is going to be providing technical assistance to the nation. So as we know, the entire world is not egalitarian. So some nations are going to be developed, some are going to be developing or underdeveloped nation. So imagine a nation into the Africa continent, it might be an underdeveloped nation, so it might require more attention from the WHO. So it provides also technical assistance to the different nations, right? So these are the major three functions of the WHO. We often hear pandemic is one of the keyword which is majorly associated with another keyword, that is epidemic. So how pandemic and epidemic are going to be different? So WHO don't declare with respect to the severity of disease, it majorly declares a pandemic and epidemic with respect to the geographical region it is going to impact. So for example, if it is a regional disease, it is going to be declared as an epidemic, and if it is going to be a global spread, then it is going to be declared as a pandemic, right? So if there are going to be sudden increase into number of cases and it is spreading globally, then WHO declares it is at pandemic, right? So that is the major difference with respect to epidemic and pandemic. One thing which we should remember, it is not declared based on the severity of disease. Next thing which is going to be there, that WHO's role during a pandemic, as I said, it helps with respect to the coordination and leadership with the different government. It also collects the data and do the surveillance so that the further research can be carried out, the information can be transmitted from one country to another country, all the countries can know. It also collects the data and surveillance so that further research can be carried out and the information can be passed from one country to another country, so that all the countries can prepare themselves for any upcoming challenge in the public health, right? It also sets standard and guidelines and provides supports, as we have discussed these 2 points. The last is going to be the practice question 1I, which I gave you, that how many main bodies are going to be the part of UN, and secondly, which are going to be the following statements which are not correct regarding WHO. So I would expect you know these answers and you will answer them into the comment box. So moving to our next article, ISRO is in news again for 2 major milestones. Firstly, that cowpea seeds sprouted in space, that is going to be a very important event. So that is going to be the first one, and secondly, with respect to the docking experiment which is going to be postponed. So we will be discussing this topic tomorrow or day after tomorrow. But with respect to cowpea seeds sprouted in space, this particular news. So this space docking experiment is going to be postponed. So we will discuss it later. So today this cowpea seeds sprouted into space, this we are going to discuss. So actually it is going to be a part of this PS4 orbital experiment module. So this development is a part of POEM, which stands for PS4 orbital experimental module. So as the name suggests, we are going to perform certain in-orbit experiments into the microgravity, right? It has been designed by Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, and it is a part of compact research module for orbital plant studies, as the name suggests, crops. So this is a very major achievement, as we are going to grow cowpea seeds into the sprouted or cowpea seed sprouts into the space. And this is a very new discovery for ISRO and an achievement too. The another achievement is going to be the space docking experiment, as we have spoken about. This we are going to discuss in a day or two, as it has been postponed. So we will also discuss about the docking and how this experiment is going to be the another milestone. The objective of this particular experiment is to test the grow and sustain flora in space for future extraterrestrial missions. The objective of this particular experiment is to test about the growth and sustainability of the flora in the space, so that whenever we are going to conduct the future space mission, we can have some inputs regarding that, right. So, that was the experiment which was conducted, and it is going to be in news. One thing which you can definitely know about ISRO is definitely about its history and what are going to be the different verticals of ISRO and where they are located, right. So, another practice question for you: what is the primary purpose of CROPS payload, as we have recently discussed. Okay. So, moving to the next and the last topic of today's discussion, that there is going to be the Tigress Zenith, who is going to be released into the southern part of Odisha's Simlipal reserve. So, Simlipal reserve, as you know, is a very famous reserve into the Odisha, and it also caters the highest population of tigers in Odisha, right. So, just what we should know about this reserve is going to be the first, that the name of the Simlipal has been taken by a silk cotton tree that is going to be known as Simul, and it is a national park as well as a tiger reserve. It is situated into the Mayurbhanj district of Odisha. So, whenever we are discussing about any tiger reserve, any national park, any biosphere reserve, 2 or 3 things you should definitely know: its location in terms of the state, in terms of its district, its geography, that is there and going to be any major or different or astonishing features regarding the geography. Third, which is going to be the major species which are going to be located into that particular national park, right. So, geography can also include the rivers also. So, make sure you are familiar about these 3 things, because whenever there is going to be any question based on national park, and if it is not a direct question, these 3 type of hints are going to be majorly given, and you can easily attend the answer, right. As it comprises of 2 highest peak, and these are the twin peaks, that is why it is very famous over there, naming Meghashini and Khairi Baru. Naming Meghashini and Khairi Baru, these are the twin peak, and as I said, it holds the highest tiger population in the state of Odisha, right. It was declared as a biosphere reserve into the 1994, and UNESCO also named it into May 2009, right. So, my next question regarding this is going to be: what do you understand by NTCA, and under which act this NTCA was formed, right. And there is another practice question also, that which of the following is not a part of UNESCO's natural heritage site. So, there are going to be 4, one national park, 1 sanctuary, another national park, and a tiger reserve. So, which one of this does not comprise of UNESCO's natural heritage site, right. So, I hope this discussion is fruitful and you got some clarity that how the newspaper should be handled. Thank you and have a great day.